A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, Chapter 8. The Romellys ran to women of strong personalities. The Nolans ran to weak men and talented men. Johnny's family was dying out. The Nolan men grew handsomer, weaker, and more beguiling with each generation. They had a way of falling in love but of ducking marriage. That was the main reason why they were dying out. Ruthie Nolan had come from Ireland with her handsome young husband soon after their marriage. They had 4 sons, born a year apart. Then Mickey died at 30, and Ruthie carried on. She managed to get Andy, Georgie, Frankie, and Johnny through the 6th grade. As each boy reached the age of 12, he had to leave school and go out to earn a few pennies. The boys grew up handsome, able to play music, to dance and to sing, with all the girls crazy for them. Though the Nolans lived in the shabbiest house in Irishtown, the boys were the dressiest in the neighborhood. The ironing board was kept set up in the kitchen. One or another was always pressing pants, smoothing out a tie, or ironing a shirt. They were the pride of Shantytown, the tall, blonde, good-looking Nolan lads. They had quick feet in shoes that were kept highly polished. Their trousers hung just so, and their hats set jauntily on their heads. But they were all dead before they were 35. All dead, and of the 4, only Johnny left children. Andy was the eldest and the handsomest. He had red gold wavy hair and finely molded features. He had consumption, too. He was engaged to a girl named Francie Mullaney. They kept putting off the marriage, waiting for him to get better, only he never did get better. The Nolan boys were singing waiters. They had been the Nolan Quartet until Andy got too sick to work. Then they became the Nolan Trio. They didn't earn much and spent most of that on liquor and horse racing bets. When Andy took to his bed for the last time, the boys bought him a genuine swan's down pillow that cost $7. They wanted him to have a luxury before he died. Andy thought it was a wonderful pillow. Andy used it 2 days. Then there was a last great gush of blood which stained the fine new pillow a rusty brown, and Andy died. His mother keened over the body for 3 days. Francie Mullaney made a vow that she would never marry. The 3 remaining Nolan boys swore that they would never leave their mother. 6 months later, Johnny married Katie. Ruthie hated Katie. She had hoped to keep all of her fine boys at home with her until either she or they died. So far, all had avoided marriage. But that girl, Katie Rommelly, she did it. Ruthie was sure that Johnny had been tricked into marriage. Georgie and Frankie liked Katie, but thought it was a dirty trick for Johnny to skip out and leave them to care for their mother. They made the best of it, however. They looked around for a wedding present and decided to give Katie the fine pillow that they had bought for Andy and which he had used so briefly. The mother sewed a new ticking over it to hide the ugly stain that had been the past part of Andy's life. The pillow was thus passed on to Johnny and Katie. It was considered too good for ordinary use and only brought out when one of them was sick. Francie called it the sick pillow. Neither Katie nor Francie knew that it had been a death pillow. About a year after Johnny's marriage, Frankie, whom many thought even handsomer than Andy, wavered home after a drinking party one night and stumbled over some taut wire that a bucolic Brooklynite had strung around a square foot of grass before his door stoop. The wire was held up by sharp little sticks. As Frankie stumbled, one of the sticks pierced his stomach. He got up somehow and went home. He died during the night. He died alone and without the priest's last absolution for all his sins. For the rest of her days, his mother had a mass said once a month for the repose of his soul, which she knew wandered about in purgatory. In a little more than a year, Ruthie Nolan had lost 3 sons, 2 by death, 1 by marriage. She grieved for the 3. Georgie, who never left her, died 3 years later when he was 28. Johnny, 23, was the only Nolan boy left at the time. These were the Nolan boys. All died young. All died sudden or violent deaths brought on by their own recklessness or their own bad way of living. Johnny was the only one who lived past his 30th birthday. And the child, Francie Nolan, was of all the Romellys and all the Nolans. She had the violent weaknesses and passion for beauty of the shanty Nolans. She was a mosaic of her grandmother Rommelly's mysticism, her tale-telling, and her great belief in everything, and her compassion for the weak ones. She had a lot of her grandfather Rommelly's cruel will. She had some of her Aunt Evie's talent for mimicking, some of Ruthie Nolan's possessiveness. She had Aunt Sissy's love for life and her love for children. She had Johnny's sentimentality without his good looks. She had all of Katie's soft ways and only half of the invisible steel of Katie. She was made up of more, too. She was the books she read in the library. She was the flower in the brown bowl. Part of her life was made from the tree growing rankly in the yards. She was the bitter quarrels that she had with her brother, whom she loved dearly. She was Katie's secret, despairing weeping. She was the shame of her father staggering home drunk. She was all of these things, and something more that did not come from the Romellys nor the Nolans. The reading, the observing, the living from day to day. It was something that had been born into her, and her only. The something different from anyone else in the two families. It was what God, or whatever is his equivalent, puts into each soul that is given life. The one different thing such as that which makes no two fingerprints on the face of the earth alike.